got the cam pulled out. I think it's supposed to have a custom grind comp cam. This is a Texas Speed Stage 4. Look at the cam bearings. Sheesh. Bro, head bolts is loose, bro. They're not even tight or torqued down, bro. We haven't even loosened any of those. Jesus. That one is, so he missed the two in the middle. Damn. Let's see. Look at that. Damn. Let's see, is that one loose too? Oh my God. That one's tight. You might want to pause some of this so you can read it. This is just another customer of the shop that this car came from that's basically going through the same thing that my customer is now going through. This is the list of everything that was supposed to be on the silver Corvette versus half of the stuff is missing. This is a message from the shop owner after the customer realized that nothing was correct. These are the 1000cc injectors he's talking about are in there. They're stamped 88527. You search that up on Google and you'll see that it's like an LS3, LS7. It could be punched out to something bigger, but the customer did ask, you know, for a set of brand new injectors, and you can see those things are pretty used. So that's another problem. This is the cam that the customer sent the vehicle to Texas with to be installed, and this is what the customer got in his vehicle. Completely different camshaft. He's supposed to have the fuel pump and the wire harness on the car, nowhere to be found. This is a message from the shop owner saying he's going to take care of the bill when everything's said and done, so we'll see. What up, YouTube? I'm coming back at y'all with another video. Y'all see this Z06 behind me. Got a set of heads on the ground right here next to me. Man, it's another sad story of another shop not doing what they're supposed to, but we're going to get the customer right, get the head sent off for porting, get the motor pulled, get the slave, get all the stuff that the customer wants in the engine installed, get them horsepower numbers he wants. Let's get it. Just a little backstory. This customer sent his car off to Texas to be built somewhere. Not sure of the shop or anything like that. Don't really care to know, but the customer paid for ported heads. He paid for flex fuel sensor, just a few other things. And the car was out of his possession for close to a year, something around that time. I mean, you got the catch can just zip tied up here, not bolted in place, you know, just things that a year to do a oil pump, a cam, and a slave and a clutch on a vet. Oh, come on, man. If customers is paying for stuff, you gotta do what you gotta do, especially if they're paying the bill, man. It's hard to come across customers that don't mind paying, but we're gonna get this customer right. We're gonna get the head sent off to Sean over at Hooper Heads so they can get everything taken care of. We're just waiting for the correct set of springs to come in. It's got some 660 springs on there and it's got a custom cam. But what we're gonna do, get all the accessories, get condenser, AC pulled out, radiator, everything out of our way, get up in the air, get all the harness, get everything off of the engine, and we're gonna get the engine pulled out. I don't even think these heads have the valve upgrade, so with this custom cam and the customer pushing power, this 7.0 would have been out of there. Lucky the customer went with his gut feeling and sent the car over to us to have it torn down. And instantly we start finding problems all throughout the car. Go ahead and get the vet in the air. All right, let's get these wheels off on both sides. Then we'll start getting some of the suspension torn apart. And then we'll go all the way up. Get the rest. Let's get it. This thing has a wheel lock and no wheel lock to be found in the car, but good thing we have this assortment of wheel locks that we got off the tool truck. Actually found one in the assortment for once that actually fits the vehicle, so we could go ahead and get this off. Bam. Those are off. We're gonna go ahead and start getting some of this suspension disconnected. We'll start with the upper arms while the strut is still attached to the subframe. That way we can get all the spacers and everything in line. Keep count of how many is there. All right, upper control arms off. Got the caliper out of our way. ABS wheel speed sensor. Got the rotor off. We're gonna leave the steering attached because we're actually gonna drop the subframe down to get the engine out. What we'll do, hop over to the other side, do the same thing, get up in the air, take all the wires, everything off, and then we'll start lowering the subframe down to get this engine pulled out the car. All right, got this side all apart, minus the strut. A lot of metal. Both of these. Probably just from like the new cam or whatever. Check it out though. Got the lines out. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting the wires taken off the starter there, and then we'll get the starter out. Damn. Starter bolt is hella loose. Hopefully that bolt's not stripped or nothing. We gotta get the oil cooler off and get some of these grounds and wiring and stuff on this side out of the way. Once the starter's out the way, we got to get the crankshaft sensor out the way. So just a few things we got to take down, and then AC compressor on the front, and then we got the bolt here, but we can get those from up top. And then we'll leave the bell housing in the car. We'll just go ahead and take off all the bell housing bolts since we have access to all of them all the way around. That one back here is off and out of the way. Hopefully it wasn't missing. I know we took the heads off already, so that might have been part of getting the heads off, but we'll find out right now. We got the starter out the way, getting all the wiring disconnected, got the knock sensors disconnected here. Same thing on this side. Got the grounds off, got the bracket strap for the wire harness. I'm gonna go ahead and get these two tins out of the oil cooler here, and then we'll get the oil filter taken off same time. Got 1, 2, got a third bolt up top there. See if I can zoom in on it. And then we got one here. So we're gonna go ahead and get those 4 out. That way the motor is not connected to the bell housing anymore. And then we'll get the bell housing ratchet strapped up so nothing comes down. All right, we got all the bell housing bolts out all the way around. We'll get this oil cooler off and this filter off, and lower the car back down. The cheapy gasket, not the Fel-Pro. We're gonna throw an AC Doco in this thing. Something that ain't gonna leak over time. So let's just go remove those, and then we'll go back up and start taking off the rest of the stuff up top. We got the sway bar dropped. We got one of the oil coolers out of the way. We got the sway bar out of our way. We got the ABS bracket unhooked. So we'll go ahead, now that everything is pretty much off the motor down here, lower the car down and get the rest out and get the motor pulled. I'm gonna more than likely leave the accessories on and just pull the radiator, condenser, and all that. So I'm gonna go grab the AC machine so we can discharge the AC system, and then we'll start getting some of the radiator stuff torn apart. But first, let's get the remaining bell housing bolts out of our way. Bolts are out. Let's get these tins on this shroud out of our way. AC pulled out. We got the lines hooked up. We're gonna go ahead, start getting some of the coolant lines and stuff taken off the water pump so we can start getting the radiator and all that out. All right, we got the upper radiator hose out the way. Got this crossover tube out the way. Got the fan disconnected down there. The lower radiator hose off. And then gonna get these clips out for the coolers and get them out the side of the radiator. Man, this hose is hard to get off. Look at all that shit. Golly. Rock hard. You know, it takes a lot more than that. Got the cooler lines out of our way. Just waiting to get this one AC line out, but just waiting for the AC machine to do its thing. All right, the machine is done. Gonna go ahead and get these lines removed and get this radiator, condenser, fan all out together in one. Don't forget the lower AC line and this lower cooler line. Get those two removed, lower the car back down. Off we go. Radiator and everything came out in one unit. So we're gonna go ahead and get the rest of what we need out of our way disconnected so we can start lowering down the subframe and start lifting the engine. I'm gonna pull the compressor with the engine because that one bolt, it's kind of hard to get out, especially with it in there. So I'm gonna just disconnect everything. Don't want to fight with it. Can come out with the motor, won't be a problem. So we're gonna go ahead, get the motor mount bolt undone there. And we got one more on this side. The ratchet strap around the bell housing. So now got support on the torque tube. Go ahead and start getting the subframe dropped down. Struts disconnected from the lower control arms. Got 2 jacks on the subframe, so I'm gonna take the 22 or 21 millimeters out on each side. Got one there, one on the back side, and then same thing on the other side. Get the cherry picker out. Got the plate bolted to the engine. I'm gonna go ahead, hook the cherry picker up here to the hook, and then we'll start getting the motor lifted up and lowering the subframe same time. All right, get the cherry picker on the side. Got it hooked up. Let's go ahead and start pumping. Let's get some support on the engine. All right, got it coming up just a bit. Let's go ahead and drop that subframe down. All right, we got the engine coming up and out. Let's get it pulled the rest of the way. Got a McLeod clutch, stock slave. Let's double check this side over here. Let's pull it forward just a little bit. All right, we got the engine out. Looks like it does have the new clutch that he got for it. Got the subframe tacked back up. I'm gonna just get some of this wiring and everything so it's not dangling down, hanging up. Tie everything up nice and neat because we gotta wait for the slave to come. So once the slave comes in, we'll swap that out. Yeah, so that's used. It's supposed to have a brand new one. That's why we ended up pulling the engine. We were just gonna send the heads off and have the heads ported, but once the customer saw that it didn't have a new slave like it was supposed to, he was afraid that it didn't have the oil pump, so he wanted me to pull the timing cover off, and I just let him know to save him labor and save me time. Instead of having to pull the whole trans out to do the slave cylinder and then pull the rack and pinion out to do the front of the pump, I was like, we'll just pull the engine out since the head's already off and have to be sent out. So pulled the engine. Customer's gonna order up the parts that he wants on the vehicle. All right, we got the car back up in the air. Just gonna tighten up all the subframe bolts, get the upper control arm, the strut, this all put back together so we can push the car out around back and get it covered up. Our strut in place, getting all the upper control arm bolts threaded in by hand. Got all the washers stacked up behind them. Same order they came out. Go ahead and get the brakes put on. We'll get the ABS wheel speed sensor plugged in and get everything tightened up good enough to put the wheel on so this thing can roll. All together. Everything's tightened up, plugged in where it needs to go. Let's get the wheel on, move to the other side. Put the wheel on. Let's get to the driver's side. Getting the upper control arm lined up, got all the washers on the back side. Let's go ahead and get them threaded in. Get them all threaded in by hand across the board. We'll get that tightened up and then start putting the rest together, just like the other side. All right, let's get the tranny jack lowered down and out of our way. For now, we'll get the rotor put on. Let's grab that and throw it on. Rotor's on. Uppers is on, strut is on. We're gonna go ahead, get the sway bar back up in place. So I'm just gonna go all the way up with the car now that we have the rest of the suspension in place and all the subframe bolts tight. Let's get the wheel put on. Wheel is on. The steering back on. Power steering cooler all covered up. And then just got the harness tucked up out the way, nothing dragging on the ground. All right, car is ready to go outside. We'll push it into the back, wait for the parts to come in. And in the meantime, we'll just tear apart the motor, see what cam's in it, see what oil pumps on it, just to make sure it's all the correct stuff. I mean, it has the Johnson lifter, so I'm sure the cam that he ordered is in there, I hope. But we will definitely find out once we get a front end pulled apart. So far, we got one missing engine mount bolt there. We got this one not even tight. I didn't touch this. I took the bolts off here. That's it. That one's not even tight at all. Let's go ahead, get the water pump out our way, and then we'll get this tensioner, AC tensioner off the way, get this harmonic balancer off, and get the timing cover off, and let's see what camshaft's in this thing. Water pump off. Let's get this 13 millimeter off. Tensioner. Let's get the harmonic balancer bolt out. Let's get this off. All right, we'll get all the timing cover bolts out now. All 10 millimeters. Let's have the red K-Tech oil pump. Gonna pull the lifters out and check the camshaft next. I got the cam pulled out. I think it's supposed to have a custom grind comp cam. This is a Texas Speed Stage 4. Look at the cam bearings. Sheesh. No good, no good. Supposed to have port work, the exhaust valves, you know, these LS7s are known for dropping valves. All that was supposed to be done, but none of it was. Just a little extra layer of protection when we're working on the vehicle. Don't want our pants or nothing scratching nothing. Getting the heads packaged up. Getting ready to head out to Hooper. Get these things fixed. Exhaust guide. Get some new springs put on. Get them all nice and ported out. Get it. Got the heads all boxed up. Gonna get everything taped up. Also gotta send an alternator off for a CTSV same time. Right, we got the car back here in death row. The engine is with the engine builder, getting new pistons, bearings, rings. We got all the other parts on order. So once everything comes in, we'll get the engine bay cleaned up and we'll get the car pushed back around inside. So for now, I'm just gonna get the car cover put on and get everything secured since it does not have a hood. I don't want the fuse box and all that getting wet if it does rain or storm or anything like that. And then just keep the paint and the interior dash, everything protected. All right, so that'll wrap it up for this video on getting the engine removed and finding out everything that the customer was scammed out of his money on. We got all the new parts on order. Engines being built by Dagger Performance. And we got the cam and everything else coming in, heads coming back from Hooper. So we'll get the engine in the car, get it back up and running, get it to the dyno, get it back to the customer, man. I appreciate y'all watching. Like, comment, subscribe for more content to come.